Hey, welcome to the Awake Space Astrology Podcast. I'm Lori Rivers, your host. And here we talk about observational applied astrology with a progressive evolutionary twist. All right, we've completed August in our 2021 quest, and we are moving into September. I would love to tell you it's going to be a great month and full of happy rainbow sunshine magic. And there's a little bit, but it's actually just picking up speed as we head towards October. The last part of 2021 is really kind of wacky. I know, you're like, but wait, we've been through the worst of it, right? No, we haven't. But don't panic. Massive systemic change is something that does not happen overnight, and sometimes things have to look worse before they get better. It's kind of nuts. But you guys got a couple of weeks to get stuff together. And when I say stuff, I mean supplies. I mean, get the stuff that means something to you. If you're a writer and you use paper and pen, get some paper and pen. Buy a little extra. Don't hoard, but get extra groceries, get extra things that you need. Yeah, supply chain is going to be having some problems. We're going to see that more and more over the coming weeks. Some of that is going to be due to weather. It's not just COVID, but COVID is also going to be taking off, especially mid-month. I wrote the astrology for September. It's up on the Woke Astrology blog. You can check that out. You can either join as an Astro Alert member there or an Astro Adventurer. You can still take advantage of special pricing by going over to Patreon. And all those links are in the description of this podcast. And I have an astrology alert for you right now. The moon enters Cancer tonight, August 31st, at about 10:30 p.m. Pacific, and it will be there till September 3rd. And it's kind of a wild ride the next couple of days. Now, first of all, we are approaching the new moon. So guess what that means? Every month, the week before the new moon, we're letting go of stuff because we've got to make room for the new. You're like, how can I let go of any more things? I've been letting go, Lori. Yup. It's a lifetime job, guys. We're always letting go of stuff. The things that are hardest to let go of are ideas we have about ourselves. You can let go of some of the crappy ones. That will serve you. Let go of identifying with your trauma story. Not saying deny it happened. That's not what I'm saying at all. But it doesn't have to define who you are. I know that one. I lived it. It doesn't have to define you. You can let go of your fear and your doubt and your worry and put your face into the present and say, what can I do right now, right here? Do that. If you're sitting worried about what the future holds, you're robbing yourself of the present. And as the moon enters Cancer, there's this drive to feel secure. And people are going to be feeling insecure, and people are going to be emotional and reactive. And on September 3rd, it's going to be volatile because the moon will be in opposition to what? Pluto. 4 times a month we deal with this. 4 times a month we deal with those moon to Pluto contacts, and they are always times of shakeup. And they can be a little gritty. I feel for you. I feel for me. The moon is always conjunct my sun when that happens. Oh, here we go. Evolution, growth. And we can't evolve if we're holding on to the things holding us back. So that desire to keep everything normal. We're seeing this in our systems right now. It's like, hey, let's throw a bunch of unvaccinated small children who are highly susceptible to disease into a small confined space and see what happens. Just in the sake of socialization. Like, we're not even socializing naturally as human beings socialize. We are not meant to put children in peer groups. Humans aren't meant to be in peer groups. I wish people used more anthropology, because psychology does not include anthropology. People, your beliefs around what's normal in society and culture are saying this is a construct that we believe to be true, when in actual fact, go look at quote-unquote primitive societies and notice the intergenerational behavior. But that would be uncivilized, they say. Really? It seems to work out pretty well for them. I don't know. Like, when are we gonna get it? That's my question. When are we gonna get it? That a lot of what's in our society, it's not tech that's causing the problems. It's our belief around what's normal. Like, somehow sitting in a cubicle with fluorescent lighting is normal? How is that normal? Explain to me how that is normal. If that's normal, I'll take abnormal any day. Cue the young Frankenstein. Abby normal. Guys, we've gotta let go of these ideas of what is normal and what isn't normal. We don't have a functioning society as long as everybody is suffering, except for a small few. The suffering is a direct result of social contracts. It's not a soul contract for suffering. It's social. It's throwing people into warehousing, and it starts young. And yeah, there's a lot of dysfunctional families out there. Yup, there is. And that comes from dominance and control, and that's what we're letting go of. I don't want to be in charge of anybody else. I want us to be collaborative. But hey, what do I know? I'm just a philosopher. We have to change our idea of what success is. We have to change our idea of what community means. In fact, we need to understand what community means. I get so annoyed when people are like, the spiritual community. What spiritual community? You have a bunch of people fighting over dogma. You have a bunch of people trying to persuade people to believe the way they believe. How is that community? Where is the listening? And if we want to get ahead, if we want to make it through, we got to listen. We got to listen to our internal self and really pay attention. And we've got to listen to each other. If somebody's upset, there's something more than the words they're saying. There's an emotion there. There's fear, there's worry, there's doubt. There's something there in that insecure space. So as we go about the next couple of days, if people are reactive, instead of reacting back, pause and listen. Pause and listen. So when I was recording the first part of this podcast, it was yesterday, August 31st. Today is September 1st. And I woke up to the Supreme Court of the United States allowing the Texas law on abortion to stand. You know, we're not a theocracy. And that law is not based on science. That law is based on a certain religious point of view. And I have never been more disappointed in my life, and that is Moon in Cancer. Moon in Cancer. By the way, if you don't like left-leaning subject matter, then this is not the podcast for you. I can send you to some wackadoodle right-wing nonsense. So Roe v. Wade was passed in 1972. I wasn't passed, but it was ruled upon in 1972. I was three. It is now 2021. I am 52. It hasn't even been 50 fucking years. Welcome to the moon in Cancer. Welcome to the moon in Cancer. It's going to be a crunchy ride. I'll be getting a hold of my representatives and my senator and whatever other people I can get a hold of about passing an equal rights amendment, about passing a women's rights amendment. I don't care if you're for or against it, but it is a woman's individual right to make a difficult decision in many cases. And I have used my right to choose to deal with some difficult circumstances. And I am glad I had that privilege. I have a daughter who is of childbearing age. And I don't feel like I failed. I've always been vocal, I've always been involved, but I feel pissed off. Welcome to a Cancer who is angry. I get quiet when I'm angry. I don't know. I know a lot of people yell and scream. I don't yell and scream. I get really quiet. I think it's my Scorpio rising. I get really, really quiet. And you see, this isn't the only thing that's going to be in the news, but it is very notable. As my grandmother would say, don't ask for equality, take it. Because you're not equal if you're asking for it. I don't know what to say. I'm not even sad. And the saddest thing is we've seen it coming, you know. And I don't know what else to say except the time is coming where people who are more left-leaning, people who actually believe in people being able to make decisions, proper decisions, and be involved in educational policy, et cetera. We've got to take time out to be on school boards and planning commissions and legislatures, because if we don't get involved and we wait for somebody to lead us, well, they lead us right into this shit. And I was sitting and thinking today, I'm like, God, I'm growing my thing, but how can I be involved? Where can I go? I'm going to be starting to look for things because I can't take this anymore. You know, I've taken a break from on-the-ground activism over the years. I used to go lobby at the Washington State House all through the 2000s for years on my own dime. Now, I don't know. I'm going to have to look for groups in California. Because I'm just done with the idiocy. This is the moon in Cancer. Lots of feels. Cancer isn't always boo-hooing. Water signs, everybody talks about their placidity, but it's water. The Grand Canyon was formed by water. The biggest part of the damage in a hurricane that lasts is the water and then the wind. That's wind pushed the water. And water seeps into things, gets into the nooks and crannies. The ocean, it's a mighty force. Yes, it's receptive, but never mistake receptivity for weakness. We're going to be seeing over the next week or so people talking about what it is to be a mother, who can be a mother, what kind of mother would do this, blah, 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 blah. And I wrote about that in the in the rising sign horoscopes. I wrote in the extended forecast that if you've got opinions on motherhood, I want you to take a moment and ask yourself, where did you get those? Why do you believe what you believe? Because 90% of what we believe about what it is to be a woman wasn't even described by women. It was described by men. who can't possibly know what it feels like to be a woman. And I'm not talking about our trans sisters. I'm talking about cis men. They don't know what it feels like to be female, to be a woman, to be compromised. I have some trans men friends who never realized how very, very real male privilege was until they transitioned to men. I mean, they knew it. They'd been subject to the privilege on the other side, being at the mercy of it, but until they no longer had to be afraid to walk down the street, I'm not afraid to walk down the street. I'm going to let you know that right now. I'm a Scorpio rising, and I walk like a tank. But that's because I've had a lot of shitty things happen to me, and I'm not. I don't welcome anything bad happening, but my kids say like I walk like a tank because I have had things happen. Lots of things, and I'm getting to a point where it's time to stop asking. It's time to stop asking. Just start taking. We've got it backwards, by the way. All these people who talk about masculine energy, and masculine is active and feminine is receptive. Then why the hell are women doing all the work, all the emotional labor, all the physical chores, all blah, blah, blah? There's a whole lot of action happening. You wonder why women are depressed and depleted? Ugh. Sorry, I'm in a mood. I'm in a mood with this Cancer moon. It's time to examine where you got your ideas around what is right and proper. I hate the word proper. Right and proper and true about being a woman in this society, asking fucking permission for everything, apologizing for everything. Pardon me for taking up space. You ever walk through a store and women say, oh, I'm sorry for being in the way, but they're not in the way. They're literally looking at the things they want to buy. Do you do that? I've done that. Why are we apologizing for our very existence? People could say, oh, but it's because I'm polite. Are you being polite, or are you apologizing for taking up space? Men don't apologize for taking up space. They take up all the fucking space they want. In general. Guys, if you're listening to this, I'm not mad at you. If you're listening to my podcast and you're still here, I am not mad at you. I am, however, mad at the dumb asses who think it's okay to regulate a woman's body. Because those are the very people who often make it possible for women to have to make those fucking decisions. God, it pisses me off. I've been saying it for years. We cannot keep asking. My grandma was right. You just gotta take it. You gotta know you're equal on the inside, and you can't wait for an arbitrary piece of paper to make it so. What pisses me off about the law in Texas is that they made it so your neighbor, your nosy-ass neighbor, can sue you for making a personal decision, which I honestly hope that opens the fucking door to be able to sue the anti-vaxxers. Right there. I hope that opens a door to some consequences these people don't want to face. I'm kind of a burn it to the ground person when I'm pissed off. What's the good news? Let's talk about good news, because God, I'm so tired of bad news. I am as tired of the bad news as you are, guys. I get no pleasure out of these damn cranky, crusty transits. Mostly because if we took a more elevated road, we could have frickin' avoided all of this. But no, mass consciousness being what it is, wouldn't want to think about stuff first. So, good news. I think it's going to force us to make some big changes. We've got to organize. We've got to organize. We've got to push. And we've got to push for amendments that give women equality in this country, because we are not equal in the Constitution yet. They like to claim we are, but we're obviously not, because I don't see any regulations on men's bodies right now. Do you? You know? I'm so tired of it. And before anybody starts mansplaining, I want you to know I have no time for it, and I will mansplain you back. That is my favorite occupation, because I can literally Hegelian you to the end. What's Hegelian? It's called the Hegelian dialectic. I will use your words against you and twist them like a knife. I have a Cancer Mercury, and I can truly remember every stupid thing you've ever done. I try not to. I try to take the high road. But on days like today, where I'm looking at something that is going to impact the lives of many women, including those who have suffered from rape and incest. Jesus. What kind of monsters are these people? I try not to vilify people. I try not to. But Jesus. You know. And I think that's some of in our spiritual world. That whole, the rule of 3, don't do painful magic. That's the whole Wiccan thing. I don't subscribe to it, by the way. If you do, it's up to you. It's fine. I honestly, at this point, don't have a problem doing harm to people who are harming others. This is my Scorpio rising. I'm really wanting to, get into vengeance here. I'm not going to. Well, not in any way anybody would think. But man, I'm going to set some gnarly intentions. See, the root of all of this, it goes back to the stupid original sin concept. That somehow it's women's fault for humanity falling from grace of a petty God. I cannot believe in a petty God. I can't. That would make it the weakest God ever. How could you believe in a petty deity? That's why I don't do pantheon stuff, because, they're really immature. I'm not saying they don't exist, but when you read like Greek mythology and stuff, God, they were petty. Petty. Same with the God these people believe in. I don't know if you've ever read American Gods. It's a great book. I know a lot of people watch the TV show, but man, I really love the book. And also Kevin Hearn's The Iron Druid series. And the idea of belief, making things real, egregores, it's a true thing. Belief empowers things. I believe in Gaia. I believe in our planet. I believe in justice. I believe that at the end of the day, we're going to get to the right place. And this is the kind of fuel we need to put the fire in our belly to put things back in balance. That was my moon talking. But I believe in that. I believe in that with everything in my body. I think we will see great things in the coming years, but I think we're going to see more of this to get us there. We cannot sit back and wait for somebody else to fix it. It's not going to work. It's not going to work. Waiting for a chosen one, waiting for a fearless leader, waiting for somebody to stand up and we are behind you. You know what happens when you're behind somebody? They take the hits and you get to go home. It's time we all joined hands and said enough polluting the planet, enough harming other people because your God says you can, enough waiting for permission because, you don't want to be that person, enough vilifying people for the clothes they wear or don't wear. Enough. Women have always been warriors. Always, by the way. Always. I always questioned this stuff when I was a kid because I grew up with stories of my great-great-grandmother fighting off bears because her husband was out dealing with the fur traps. You know? Pisses me off. I know what I've done for my kids. I ran halfway around the world risking my life. And when my ex called to tell me he was coming to take my kids, I reminded him I was in Oregon and I knew where my daddy's rifle was. And I knew how to use it. And I probably would have. I didn't have to. Women have always been warriors. We have been indoctrinated to believe we are weak. Strength doesn't necessarily come from physical size. I know a young woman who was 115 pounds dripping wet, and she was attacked by a guy over 6 feet tall, 200 pounds, and she used everything at her command to prevent being sexually assaulted. She bit, she hit, she kicked. And when the police got there, they thought she was being dramatic. She ended up being okay. Traumatized, but okay. Women have always been warriors. It's going to be a bumpy ride the next couple of days. And when the moon moves into Leo, it's going to be another bumpy couple of days. And the roller coaster ride is just starting to speed up. Welcome to September. All right, let's talk a little bit about what September 3rd is going to look like in the next segment, and I'll do some patron shout-outs. We have reached 250 patrons. My God, guys, look at us go. And we're getting closer on the app. I've got a web design team on things. And we'll talk a little bit about feelings. I have to go into readings here in a minute. It's such a great pleasure to read for you guys and help you prepare for the coming months and weeks and years. You know, we got years of this shit. I would love to tell you it would get better. And I'm feeling crunchy. I'm not gonna lie. I'm a Cancerian, the moon's in Cancer. It's in my 8th house at the moment. Tomorrow it'll pop into my 9th house. I've got all kinds of feelings. And all of those feelings are okay. It's okay to feel shitty for a minute. It's okay to feel angry. I'm glad I feel angry right now. It's motivating. There's this thing that I'm like, Jesus, I'm just going to be fucking successful so I can fund some campaigns and so I can fund some women into their empowerment. And I am going to be the damn Oprah of astrology. Put fire in my belly. Pardon my ambition. By the way, if you're wondering if it's okay to be a woman and be ambitious, sure as shit it is. You bet you can be ambitious. We need more ambitious women, and our ambitions can be for economic equality, for biological equality. And I'm not talking I'm not a TERF. I'm just saying, if it's your body, you have a right to choose. And I'm not talking about vaccines. Jesus Christ, that's anti-science. But we need to stop moralizing bodies. I get so mad about the regulation. You know, the way we make sex such a taboo. It's why we have so many assaults. It's why we've made sex work illegal and we leave sex workers, both male and female, to be victims. It's all back to original sin, folks. God, if I could outlaw one thing, it would be theocracy. Because it's bullshit. We are a small marble in a vast universe. And it can feel like the gods are playing pinball with us some days, but they're not. It's our own folly, our own hubris that leads us down this road. And God, there's so much power in you. If you only knew how much power there was in you, why do you think they try to regulate you? If you weren't powerful, they wouldn't be trying to subdue you. Something I learned as a kid. If I wasn't powerful, they wouldn't come for me. I remember I was about 8 years old, and I didn't get spankings very often. I got abused in all other kinds of ways, but I didn't get spankings, probably because I was being abused in all kinds of other ways. But my brother was about to get a spanking, and I stepped in between him and my dad whipped me over his knee and started wailing on my ass, and I bit my lip, took a deep breath, turned back, gave him my Scorpio rising, piercing gaze, and said, "You just want me to cry, and I'm not going to." And he stopped. And it was in that moment I knew what power was. You have that power in you. It's not just in me. I'm not saying crying is bad. Certainly we need to cry. We need to release. Hell, I want to cry right now and I can't. But you can use it for fuel. And as we go through these very turbulent times, I want you to examine how you can use it for fuel instead of feeling lost and hurt and alone. And it's okay to feel those feelings. I'm not telling you don't ever have a moment. I've had those moments too. I've felt completely defeated at many points in my life, but not for long. Not for long. You have so much power inside of you. So the astrology of the next couple of days is pretty gritty, especially on September 3rd. But tomorrow, September 2nd, we have the moon sextiling Uranus, and I think we can expect some protests. I hope to God we can expect some protests. We need to light shit up. And if you see protests on social media, tag them in the Discord, because you know what? We need to support every social movement we can, because it's going to be really gritty in 2024 when Pluto hits Aquarius. It's not going to be unity consciousness. We're going to be working to be collective, and we're going to be given a lot of reasons. I don't want you to despair. I'm trying to prepare you. I'm trying to get you fired up. Get fired up. Stop giving up. I've had enough of people giving up and rolling over. We can't afford that right now. We can't afford to roll over. Not women, not trans women, not trans men, not our LGBTQIA brothers and sisters, not our BIPOC brothers and sisters. We cannot afford to roll the fuck over. It's time to push forward. It is time to push forward. I gotta go into a reading. I will record the rest of this podcast with some astrology in it later. You're getting my raw, unfiltered thoughts. This is a very angry Astro Lori right now. I know, I don't sound all that angry. But if you could feel the fire going through my veins right now, we'll see how I feel after the reading. Let's do a patron shout out. How about that? We've reached 250 patrons. People subscribe and unsubscribe every month, and that's cool. A lot of times it's economic. I get a lot of nice notes of people saying, I can't afford to. So I've made a $5 subscription on my website for Astro Alerts. It's a little more than you can get at the $3 level on Patreon. If you can't do that, keep listening to this podcast, because I'll keep you updated, and I appreciate you, whether you can do this economically or not. It's a wild time on this planet. And so to those who can subscribe, that's amazing. So, who have we got? We've got Laura Maxwell. We've got EMPZDZ or ZDZ. I say Zed. I lived in England. I feel entitled to Zed. Tiffany Lee, Emily, Christine, Emma Cook, Adam, Christina, Lizzie, Catherine, Allie, Oriana, Nicole, Neff, Barbara, Alanis, Leilani, Shane, Bryce, Cindy Rock, Claire, Michelle, Adrian, Tara, Kate, Jenny, Stephanie, Eileen, Tatiana, Killip, Carol, Anna Carey, Nicole, Molly, Big Chin, Cutie and an Outie, Shelby, Irene, Lexi, McKenna, Heather, Amanda, Janelle, Deanna, Joanne, April, Sarah, Francesca, CJ, Rihanna, Melissa, Amanda, Shannon, Rachel, Camille, Angel, Aaron, Christina, Taylor, Becca, Melissa, Amanda, Shannon, Rachel, Camille, Angel. Wow, guys. Wow, guys, you rock my world. Look at all those people. It's amazing to me. I cannot count the things I've started. I've had some successes, don't get me wrong, but I've had way more flops. You know, things that had really good intentions, great ideas, and it just wasn't the right time. And it's so cool to be able to pull all this shit together. So, got a new web design team on fixing the mobile view, because I know my mobile view is crap. I did that. I'm not a designer, guys. I'm just not. I'm a functional person. I can make websites work, but I'm not a visual artist. So I've got some people working on things. So we've got that, and then we've got, gosh, I have life stuff I have to take care of that I haven't taken care of. I've been so busy with all of this, trying to get you guys ready. I think I am going to do a couple of webinars instead of classes. I'm going to have the How to Read Your Birth Chart class recordings up on the website for purchase, and you'll have access to the Discord and the study groups. So that is how we're going to manage the How to Read Your Birth Chart class moving forward, because my time is limited, guys, and there's so much I want to teach. I'm also going to get that new ultimate guide, or the guide, which is the ultimate cheat sheet, the Astro Guide, the new edition. I'll get that to all of you who already have it, and then it'll be available for purchase on my website. It's much expanded, and I've had the wonderful Casey, who's both a patron and now a co-writer with me, working with me to do that, which is super awesome. I'm jazzed. Obviously, I feel a little better. I'm post-reading. What an amazing reading. You guys are the best. I love reading for you. I come out inspired and on fire, and just knowing that the future is brighter because of you. God, that makes me feel good. I think that's where we're going to go with the next segment. The future is brighter because of you. So the future is brighter because of you. Each one of us plays a role. It may seem inconsistent or insignificant. We're just one person. We can't carry the entire burden of the world on our shoulders, and yet each one of us is indispensable in the greater scheme of things. I know everybody says, you can be replaced. Maybe in a corporation. Maybe as a cog in the wheel, but not in the grand scheme of life. You had a 1 in 400 trillion chance of being here human now. Those are incredible odds. And it makes you invaluable. Invaluable. You are beyond price worthy. And each of us has a role to play. I think things are getting so ugly now because we need to make these changes, and patriarchy is acting like a wounded animal with a mortal wound, and it's coming for the strike. It's coming for the attack. It's like a beast. And we can't just subdue it. We can't just play music for it. It's time to take off its head. And the way we do that is empowering ourselves. That means we need to be involved in whatever way we can. That means unpacking our own beliefs around our worthiness and what we should be doing, our role as women or men or minorities or whatever bullshit story we got sold to tell us we were not equal or worthy. It's time to unpack that and know your value. And if I have one job in this life, it is to unconditionally show you your value. To create sanctuary for you to incubate yourself into your wholeness. I can't bring you to wholeness, but I can make a safe space for it. And I believe in you. I believe in you. I believe this world can be a better place. Let's blame that on my Jupiter and Uranus. Let's blame it there. They're at 0 degrees Libra. I believe in you. They're in the 11th house. I believe in the best of us. The best of us. And we've all been sold we're too weak, that we're just one person. But we're not just one person when we find each other. And that's why I have a Discord. I want you to find each other. That does not mean we don't face trials and tribulations and problems. Of course we do. We're not here for easy. We're here for a range of experiences. But there's so much we can do together if we just held hands. If we just held the line. It's time to push forward. Like we've never pushed before. It's time to demand our due. Each one of us is due decent housing, decent food, access to clean water, access to our cultures, access to our own autonomy in our bodies. And it is time to slay the dragon that causes us despair. It's time to slay the dragon that tells us we have little worth or are responsible for the ills of the world. I grew up very well churched, and I was so lucky to be raised in a loving church in my very early formative years, where it really wasn't preached that we were sinners. They preached the resurrection. Now, whether you believe in that or not is beside the point. I'm trying to point out we are whole and valued and beautiful, each one of us. And until we claim that, all you people claiming on tarot readings and claiming it, claim your freaking value. Claim your dignity. Because no one can take that from you. No one. They can sure as hell try. They can call you names. They can try to take away your rights, but you have dignity. And it doesn't mean you have to take the frickin' high road. God, I wasted a lot of time being above reproach. You don't need to be above reproach. Hell, I've told more middle-aged white men, all I want to do is have the same right to be incompetent that you do. I'm tired of having to be overly competent. I don't know about you, but I am. Why do we have to be competent? Either we toss people out for being incompetent, or we just ask, hey, I just want the same shot at screwing up that you have. We need more women running for offices, and we need it at the local level. We need to stop looking on the national stage with such a heavy eye. Yes, it matters with the Supreme Court. Obviously, we just saw why. Yes, it matters, but so too at the local level, because you know what? Texas wouldn't have gotten that fucking thing overturned if people had voted for decent human beings instead of a bunch of scum buckets who want to subject women to being breeding factories. I'm appalled, and they should be ashamed. They should be ashamed, especially when child rearing is unsupported in this country. When they're sending children into COVID-ridden schools. When they're not mandating masks and other CDC guidelines. And now we've got Labor Day weekend coming up, and a whole bunch of people are going to be traveling who aren't vaccinated, even though the CDC said, please don't travel. They're going to do it because, they don't listen to the CDC anyway, right? If they did, they'd be vaxxed. I think the CDC needs a new PR guy. Because seriously, and when I say guy, I mean woman or man. I'm a Gen X, or guy means everybody. It's not gender-based. It's like saying dude. Dude isn't gender-based either. We'd call it toaster dude. But yeah, anyway. It's time we stood up. So you got to unpack those cultural and social beliefs. Recognize where you're holding yourself back. And tomorrow is a great day for that. When the moon sextiles Uranus, liberate your mindset. Liberate yourself from all those social conditions, especially if you're a woman. If you're BIPOC, if you're LGBTQIA, unburden yourself from the nuances of cultural subjugation, because we subjugate ourselves as much as other people subjugate us. Freedom is a scary thing because you don't know what to do with it. I remember when I walked out of my second marriage, the world was my oyster, and I didn't know what the hell to do. There was stuff I wanted to do, but I didn't know how to go get it. I had to take a year of just driving myself back to myself, hitting the road. Pulled up a Jack Kerouac. Look him up if you don't know who he is. He had a book called The Road. I found myself driving thousands of miles all over the Southwest, up and down the West Coast. And each little step of the way, getting a little clearer on my vision. But even then, 3 years ago, almost 4 now, I couldn't have imagined I'd be here. Doing exactly what I've always wanted to do. Talking to you right now. It wasn't even a thought. I just wanted to understand what freedom meant to me. Unfettered, uncoupled, unbound, alive, vibrant. I didn't have much. I had my car, I had my computers, I had my dog, I had a little bit of savings. Just enough. It was an amazing year. Driving myself to myself. Not really having a destination in mind, just hitting the road. Malcolm and I had a fabulous time. There were many magic windows on that trip. He loves a good road trip. He gets the front seat. Oh, guys, it's going to be crunchy. And it's okay. And it's okay to feel all your feelings. But get some fire in your belly. On the 3rd, it will be volatile. I'll have an astro alert out tomorrow. Don't miss it. I love you. Love yourselves. It's the most radical thing you can do right now.